said, there's a pool about 10 blocks away from here called Riverside, and we're going to integrate that pool. I didn't even know what integrate meant, but I knew we were supposed to walk to the pool. And so she marched with us for 7 days, little kids marching to the pool. We were turned away every day, and then on the 7th day, I think the mayor got involved, and we finally integrated the pool. And she was my hero. She basically taught us that we had rights, and she would talk to us every day after we finished marching. I feel very emotional about it because she showed me a lot. She showed me that I had rights. We were very, very poor, but she showed me that there was a better life, there was a better way. But she also taught me that we were being discriminated against, but I didn't really understand it as a kid. But the older I got, the more I understood it. But she also told us that if we stand up, got a good education, we could do anything. I think that young people have role models, but one of the things that I had in my growing up is I had a lot of young people, my peers, maybe a little bit older than me, who were doing good things. And so it wasn't, I didn't want to be like the drug addict or the drug salesman on the corner. I wanted to be like Kurt Schmoke, who later became mayor. He was a fellow who went to Baltimore City College High School and was, I'd heard about him playing football and scholar. And I literally used to have to get up at almost 5:30 in the morning to go clear across town because I simply wanted to go to the same high school that he went to. And there were a lot of people like that. I think that when we are elevated to a certain position, we need to accept the fact that we've been placed there to be a role model. I see that as part of my life. I always know that somebody's watching me. Not long ago, I was at the Martin Luther King memorial, and I was standing there looking at the monument, just admiring it, and a little boy came up to me and said, Congressman, you're from Baltimore? I said, yeah. I said, where are you from? He said, I'm from Baltimore. Come to find out, he lived 2 blocks away from me. I never met him. And he said, I said, what do you think of this? He said, this is great. He said, I wish I'd known Martin Luther King. He said, did you live when Martin Luther King lived? I said, yeah, but I was a little young man. And he said, you know what? But I didn't know Martin Luther King because this is what he's saying to me, because I was born after he died. But he says, I just want you to know you're my Martin Luther King. So, yeah, I am a role model, and I take it very seriously. It's a tremendous responsibility. I don't want to let people down. I don't want to let, particularly kids. One of the reasons why I live in the neighborhood that I live in, and I live in the inner city of Baltimore, intentionally. I could move a lot of places, but I wanted to live there to be a role model for kids because I wanted them to see that they could be somebody positive and somebody contributing in society and doing some good things. I think people can acquire passion a lot of ways, but one of the most effective ways to acquire passion is through pain. My father went through pain. His father fell sick in the pulpit down in Manning, South Carolina. He said they called the doctors. 2 white doctors came, a young one and an old one. And my father's a little boy now. He was a little boy. And he said he heard them as they were going out. The younger doctor said to the older doctor, Doc, we really need to get this man to a hospital. And my father heard the older doctor say, don't worry about him. He's only a nigger. And my grandfather was dead the next morning. That haunted my father. He talked about that all the way up until a day before he died. So it's my pain when I was put out of my apartment because I didn't have money when I was in law school and came home and saw all my stuff out on the street. That's one of the things that makes me want to work so hard to keep people in their homes. The pain of my parents. They were deprived of an education living in South Carolina, and they wanted an education for their children, their pain drove them to drive us, and to college educate all 7 of their children on a domestic salary and laborer salary. The other thing that connects me to my constituency is faith and religion. The fact that I believe that I truly believe that I've been placed in this place for a reason, and it's mainly to help people, to touch people's lives, make a difference. And the reason why the connection is so important is because sometimes you got to understand where somebody is. I've often said that I was inspired by my parents' aspirations. In other words, they may never have reached all the goals that they wanted to reach, but I was inspired by watching them as they aspired to accomplish certain things. My proudest moment had to be when we passed the Affordable Care Act. And the reason why it was my proudest moment is because I have seen and known of so many people to die because they did not have health care, that they didn't have insurance, or they were treated poorly in medical situations. And the idea that we could, pass a piece of legislation that would ensure 30 million people, and a whole lot of them would have been people of color. Just the idea of it. So often I see problems, and there's nothing I can do about it, nothing. But here I saw something that even after I'm dead would be touching people's lives and making a difference. And that's why and I tell people, I have never ran away from the Affordable Care Act, never will. You will never get me to apologize for it, because I know how important it is, because the alternative is for people to get sick and die. In all my life, and I'm 61 now, I have never heard my mother say congratulations. My mother has never said congratulations to me for anything that I can remember. Instead, she says things like this: Elijah, the Lord has blessed you to have the skills that you have. The Lord is, but she'll call me up. If she sees me on television, she'll call me up and say, the Lord bless you to be able to help them people stay in their house. And so I realize what she's saying, I think she's intentionally not giving me the credit. She's trying to make sure I remain humble and understand that I have been placed here for a reason, and that the fact that she only had the equivalent of a second-grade education, this is her way of extending herself to be able to do the things that she wished she had been able to do if she had had the opportunity. So I kind of owe it to her, to my father, and to the people who came before me who dreamed the big dream. You can either control your destiny or let life just control you. And I think people need to try to bring as much. I always tell my kids, control what you can control. And I think that if people, I think one of the things that frustrates me most is people who just sit on the sidelines of life and complain. See, my daddy wasn't like that. My daddy, if you complain, you better have a solution coming right after the complaint. I just think that people have more control over what happens to them than they think. And one of the best ways to do that is being involved in politics, that is, to vote. I think we, as a people, quite often allow policies to go through without ever complaining, and then once the policy goes through, then we complain because we see the damage that's done. I just think that people need to try to control their own destiny. I think, or just accept whatever happens to them. Let other people decide for them. I think I'd rather make decisions for myself than to have other people deciding for me. Whether I'm deciding for myself through my vote and my representative, through my attending the community meeting, through my supporting a candidate or whatever. I want to have some say in what happens to me in this life. We only have one life to live. No dress rehearsal. This is the life. This job here, I love this job because I can help masses of people at one time, you know. And not only that, I have a staff which I can personally select and who are very dedicated and do help me accomplish a lot of the things that I believe in. I mean, you can't beat that. And it is consistent with what I believe my purpose is on earth. That's very significant. That's why I feel so fortunate. Every morning when I wake up, I say, well, God, what you got for me now? You know, what's the next assignment? And allow me, God, to show people how you can blow their minds. Not me, but doing something for somebody and giving the credit, as my mother would say, to God.
Focused on. You're back.
Thank you very much. You know, I've sat here and I've listened to all of this, and it's very painful. It's very painful. You made a lot of mistakes, Mr. Cohen, and you've admitted that. And, you know, one of the saddest parts of this whole thing is that some very innocent people are hurting too. And you acknowledge that. And that's your family. And so you come here today and I deep in my heart, you know, and when I practiced law, I represented a lot of lawyers who got in trouble. And you come saying I had made my mistakes, but now I want to change my life. And you know, if we as a nation did not give people an opportunity after they made mistakes to change their lives, a whole lot of people would not do very well. I don't know where you go from here. As I sat here and I listened to both sides, I just felt as if, and you know, people are now using my words that they took from me, that didn't give me any credit. We are better than this. We are so much, we really are. As a country, we are so much better than this. And, you know, I told you, and for some reason, Mr. Cohen, I tell my children, I say, when bad things happen to you, do not ask the question, why did it happen to me? Ask the question, why did it happen for me? I don't know why this is happening for you, but it is my hope that a small part of it is for our country to be better. If I hear you correctly, it sounds like you're crying out for a new normal, for us getting back to normal. It sounds to me like you want to make sure that our democracy stays intact. The one meeting I had with President Trump, I said to him, the greatest gift that you and I, Mr. President, can give to our children is making sure that we give them a democracy that is intact. A democracy better than the one that we came upon. And I'm hoping that the things you said today will help us begin to get back there. You know, I mean, come on.